Hey everybody, welcome back to Good Night. I think we've got an important interview coming up here. We're joined by Allyson Perron, who is the Government Relations Director for the American Heart Association. We're going to talk about a topic that everybody's been seeing on the news lately, and that's vaping and our concerns with it. Allyson, thanks for taking a couple minutes to join us here on Good Night. How are you tonight?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, we couldn't think of anybody better to have join us to talk about this crisis, and I do believe it is a crisis. And I would be very interested to hear your take as a government relations director for the American Heart Association. What are your concerns about vaping?
Yeah, we have, it's truly an epidemic at this point. We have seen youth rates of tobacco use skyrocket. We were down to single digits, about 6 or 8% of youth using any sort of tobacco product. And now we're seeing upwards of high 20% of kids using them daily, which is very frightening.
Well, as we talked about offline before the cameras came up, my background in public health, I saw this, back in 2007 when vaping became mainstream for people. I think vaping was actually designed to get addicted smokers off of tobacco. So me as a public health official, I kind of said, okay, maybe this is a good thing. But then I got wise to the marketing of vaping and realized that every time you walked into a convenience store, the vaping stuff was at eye level for younger kids. Everything looked like a flash drive or a Sharpie. And I said, this isn't for people of I'm in my mid-50s. I said, this isn't for my demographic. This is for kids. This was a targeted effort, my words, by the tobacco industry to get this into kids' hands. And I
couldn't agree more.
You couldn't agree more. Okay, so good. So we're on the same page with that. And now to hear, like Juul come out and with their ads by 2021, they're going to put standards in place. 2021, it's 2019. We're talking 2 years from now. What do you think the motivation for the tobacco and the juuling industry is?
I think that they saw their consumer market shrinking and they got concerned, and the best way to increase sales is to hook a generation early. It's the same playbook that we saw, 20, 30 years ago from the tobacco industry. Mm-hmm. They're at it again. Maybe, some thought that they got into this for altruistic reasons, for helping adults quit smoking and going to a safer alternative. Thank you. But what we're seeing is that kids are using this product at a rate 6 times that as adults. And that to me, that doesn't mean this is a product that's helping adults quit. This is a product that's addicting a whole new generation to nicotine. And they're using flavors. There's somewhere between 8,000 and 15,000 different types of flavors. You can't tell me that cotton candy and gummy bear and unicorn poop are designed for adults. No. They look flashy. They're sold in what looks like apple packaging. They're designed to be hidden so they don't smell or look like traditional tobacco products. And so parents are unaware of this. They're doing it in schools and they're doing it across the board. They are marketing. They have been, and now they don't even need to, because if you go on social media, there's plenty of opportunity to see it, and they're certainly capitalizing on that. Juul alone saw an increase between 2017 and 2018, about 680% profit. So they are certainly, making their money on these kids. And I think, the 5 major e-cigarette manufacturers, which take up about, I think it's something like 97% of the market, are all owned or partially owned by Big Tobacco. And so, they'll come in and they'll say that they are not Big Tobacco, that they did this to help adults quit smoking, that they went to a safer alternative. And the problem is they are still hooking people on nicotine. And what we're seeing is that adults that switch to this product actually become dual users. So they're using a traditional combustible cigarette and they're using e-cigarettes at the same time. So they're not coming off. They're not weaning off nicotine like you would with a traditional cessation device. And if, you can't say it's a safer alternative when you're having kids who would never have touched a combustible cigarette using this product. And they're doing it because the flavors are really what's hooking them. They're fairly cheap in prices. And so, over the years, what we know works for kids is that we get rid of the flavors and we make it more expensive for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're working on.
Well, I was surprised from the backlash that I received as a chairman of a local board of health. The tobacco industry sent lawyers to every one of our meetings and threatened to sue us. And so, of course, our local town council is like, you're going to get the town sued. And if anybody's ever met me, okay, that's fine. Go ahead. It's easy to sue. It's not always easy to win. The town manager's in a tizzy. Economic development manager saying to me, oh, you're affecting business in town. And I'm like, this is killing our children. And I was shocked, and especially you as a government relations people. I think this is an important story to tell you, is that everybody in town government told me, don't do this, don't do this. And we were one of the first towns to do it, and I'm proud that we did that, and now being proven right that this crisis. But the reply is we all smoked when we were kids, and this is safer. It's not safer. And that's the thing that I don't think parents truly understand about this. So what is the standpoint of from the American Heart Association? What is there an education that you guys are doing with parents and teachers?
So we go into the schools and we educate the parents. We also work closely with the Department of Public Health so that they can go into the schools and that they can educate parents. I think the hard part is that over the years, the tobacco control program, cessation and prevention program in the state has been woefully underfunded. And so we missed an opportunity to really get ahead of this and be educating more on this. And I think parents were caught blindsided. I think there are certainly parents who think this is safe. I think when it first came out, people were like, oh, it's just water or vape or mist, and there's nothing wrong with it. And they're not realizing that there is nicotine, which is a strong addictive drug. What we're seeing in a product like Juul in particular, they use something called nicotine salts, which absorbs into your bloodstream faster, giving you the kind of high of the nicotine rush quicker, but it also comes out of your system faster, so you will crave it more. So you'll end up using more. So one Juul pod actually equals the amount of nicotine in a pack of cigarettes. And these kids are going through these Juul pods at least one a day. So they're technically smoking a pack of cigarettes a day very early on. So, the short-term effects of the nicotine, and in addition that we're seeing actually the flavors having some short-term effect as well from a cardiovascular standpoint, is it restricts your arteries. So we're going to start to see more stroke and more cardiac arrest in the young. We're already seeing lots of cases of severe respiratory illness. Kids are getting popcorn lung really young, these are things that are going to be difficult to reverse. And, I just don't believe that we should be giving any benefit of the doubt to an industry that has lied and marketed to kids for decades.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, because I was going to ask you that same question. This industry has proven that they can't be trusted. So why does everybody kind of trust them that this is a safe product? And speaking of,
I think
go ahead.
I think it's turning around. I'm hoping that all the news and all the publicity is turning around. I do think Massachusetts has an opportunity, and I'm hoping that we're the first state to ban all flavors and all tobacco products, so including menthol cigarettes, including wintergreen chew and grape cigars across the board, not just in e-cigarettes. So that we're really looking at kids. If this is truly a safer alternative for adults, and they shouldn't need the flavors if this is the product they're choosing.
Now, are you hearing that up on Beacon Hill, that there's a support of it?
Yeah, so we're working really hard. We have a piece of legislation. Representative Daniel Gregoire from Marlborough and Senator John Keenan from Quincy are our champions on that bill, and they have been pushing really hard. There's a lot of support on Beacon Hill for that, and so we are hopeful that we'll see action soon.
I've seen a lot of pro your side from Lieutenant Governor Polito. I haven't really seen much from Governor Baker. Have you had any conversations with the governor?
Yeah, so he had just had his Commissioner of Public Health start to collect data and actually have people report on vaping illnesses and really seeing where we stand and then figuring out our next steps. So we're working closely with him. The Attorney General, Healy, has really been out front on this issue, as well as a number of legislators. So we are hopeful that we'll take a stand soon.
I know Attorney General Healy has filed a couple of lawsuits, and they provided resources to even like myself to kind of get the ball rolling in my town. So that's good. President Trump has come out, and he originally said last week that he thought he was going to ban it, and then he kind of took his foot off the gas. What are you hearing on the national level?
So I think, our concern always is that FDA has had a number of years to regulate this product, and they have chosen not to. We have known from other dealings with the FDA that they move slow. 2006, they were actually supposed to put graphic warning labels on cigarettes, and we haven't seen those yet. Mm-hmm. So I'm always a little bit wary on the federal government taking action. I think they just move much slower, and the tobacco industry has a lot of influence there. So I do believe that it's really the state's responsibility to step up and protect our kids. Mm-hmm. And so we're hopeful that the state elected officials won't use the fact that the federal government is looking at this to do something. Because as you mentioned, President Trump has already pulled back on that, and I'm sure that has to do with industry getting to him.
And I was just going to say that. I mean, you go through any campaign donation, OCPF report, and it's going to be littered with, on a national level, it's always going to have the tobacco industry on it. So the tobacco industry must have, through back channels go, hey, Mr. President, back off on this. And that's disappointing because this is affecting everybody. I mean, you're now seeing people die from this. And it's alarming that...
It is alarming,
that so many young people are passing away from it, and there shouldn't be any discussion. So what can the common person do? Because I've got a couple part question here, and I apologize for the long one. It's easy to say, okay, we ban it, but what do these kids do that are addicted to it? If you ban it and they can't get access to it, they're still addicted. So they might go somewhere else to get it.
You're right. Yep.
Which could be even more dangerous.
There's a number of pediatricians working on what is the best cessation device for these kids. Out of Mass General, Dr. Jonathan Winikoff is really working hard on that because you're right. There are kids that are quickly addicted to this product, and the current cessation products in the market are not tested for anyone under the age of 18. So we certainly need more funding to develop that quickly. Our hope is that, we can stop this quickly and that we can reverse the effects of this, and it's not in we haven't made enough of a time to that we haven't got enough kids addicted that we can stop this quickly. We're not where we were 20 years ago where we gave the benefit of the doubt to the industry.
A lot of the deaths that you're hearing about is the vaping is laced with marijuana type products, either THC or. What are you guys hearing about that?
Yeah, so I think, that what we're seeing on the deaths is that there's nothing consistent. So there is pieces that have, they're straight like jewel pods, which are a closed system, and so there's nothing added to it. Then there is some cases where people added THC to them, and that's kind of an open system where they mixed it. And then there's a third one where they kind of mix like a homemade one. There doesn't appear to be one kind of common denominator other than that they're all in a vape. And they all have some sort of nicotine in them. And I think that's part of what the state is trying to collect. Is there a common denominator? Is it, an additive that's in there? What is causing the death or the extreme sickness?
So what can people do to help the cause?
So I think, the quickest thing that they can do is certainly get educated. If you're a parent, talk to your children as young as we're seeing it pop up in elementary school. Make sure that kids know that this is a harmful and dangerous product, and certainly be educated about it. Make sure that if your kids are using this, and even if you think, oh, my kids would never smoke, they don't think this is smoking. I think reach out to your elected officials and ask them to take action. Look at them to ban the flavors, and certainly, think about putting a tax on this product. E-cigarettes don't have any excise tax like regular tobacco products, and they should be treated equally. And so I think that's the best thing that they can do. If they want to get more engaged, they certainly can join the Heart Association's advocacy network called you'rethecure.org. And we make it easy to reach out to your legislators. But I would say in general that, really make your voice be heard, be talking, to your neighbors and your friends on this issue.
What's the name of that again? You'rethecure.org?
Yep.
You'rethecure.org. Okay, so we'll tag that in this interview.
Great.
Allyson, what else? What did we miss?
I think you got everything. I really appreciate your time and attention on this really important issue.
Well, Allyson Perron, the Government Relations Director for the American Heart Association, it's an honor to have you join us. I think we've got a lot of work to do, but we'll keep plugging away and keep the faith.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Allyson. We're going to take a quick break here on Good Night. When we come back, we're going to be talking about what's trending on Twitter, so keep it right here on Good Night.